Hi guys, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince. Welcome to Mustang Prince Oral Reports. Now, as you may remember from that dark cliffhanger last episode, my evil twin AntiJosh has put me under house arrest for reasons that don't seem to make any sense to the law. So in order to get out of this, I need to blog 3 films that I consider the worst from last year. So let me introduce to you guys to the event I like to call March of the Worst Films of 2014. Now, I have to admit, I'm not as good a blogger as most others that I know about, nor the ones I watch online who influenced my show in the first place. Maybe it's just my autism, but sometimes it's just hard to dislike a certain film, whether live action or anime, despite the problems they have. A few months ago, I did hear that 2014 was an improvement with such fantastic animated films like Disney's Big Hero 6 and DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon 2, along with such other films like Mr. Peabody and Sherman and The Box Trolls, along with The Book of Life. And there were a few memorable ones like Muppets Most Wanted, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Son of God, and Earth to Echo. But unfortunately, there were a few films that weren't as good, nor were they memorable. Of course, the ones that were considered bad that I still enjoyed anyway were in fact Pompeii, The Nut Job, Planes, Fire and Rescue, Legends of Oz, Rio 2, Maleficent, and including Swan Princess Royal Family Tale. Now, here are the films I blogged in the past that I consider to be bad. 8 Crazy Nights, which wasn't just a bad animated film made by my least favorite comedian, but it was a bad Hanukkah movie with too much disgusting crudeness. Footloose 2011, a horrible movie which not only didn't respect the original film, but it was too modernized and nobody in the cast got to sing it, and most background songs in it were absolutely horrible to listen to. Joshua 2007, which was a bad thriller with child abuse, animal cruelty, and religious crap. And a few months ago, I blogged the latest Transformers movie made by the terrorist of movie makers, Michael Bay. So, in order to start off this March of the Worst Films of 2014, why don't we return to our old friend Michael Bay? Now, I know a while ago I took it easy on Bay when I blogged the Friday the 13th remake and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but still Transformers has to be the worst franchise he's ever made. So let's take a look at another cartoon show next to Transformers that was popular during the 80s. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They are a fictional team of 4 teenage anthropomorphic turtles named after 4 Renaissance artists who were trained by their anthropomorphic rat sensei in the art of ninjutsu. From their home in the storm sewers of New York City, they battled petty criminals, evil overlords, mutated creatures, and alien invaders while attempting to remain hidden from society. They were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. The characters originated in comic books published by Mirage Studios before expanding into cartoon series, films, video games, toys, and other general merchandise. During the peak of the franchise's popularity, in the late 1980s and early 90s, it gained considerable worldwide success and fame. While the animated TV series, which lasted for 10 seasons until 1996, was more lighthearted, the comic book series continued in a much darker and grittier tone. In 1990, a live-action feature film was released, with the Turtles and Splinter being portrayed by actors in partial animatronic suits created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. The film became one of the most successful independent films and spawned 2 sequels, as well as, inspiring a 3D animated film set in the same continuity, which was released in 2007 under the title TMNT. However, this one is considered one of my favorite ones, though. The property lay dormant until in 2003, a new animated TV series, also entitled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, began to air on Foxbox, also known as 4Kids TV. The series' storyline stuck much closer to the original Mirage comic book series, which was still less violent. It lasted for 7 seasons with 156 episodes, ending in February 2009. Then, in 2012, Nickelodeon developed a new CGI animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles television series and partnered with Fellowship Viacom company Paramount Pictures to bring a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie to theaters. And it's, what I'm going to be looking at today, and it's actually produced by Platinum Dunes, Paramount Pictures, and directed by Jonathan Liebesman. Now, is this movie a huge slip-up, or it could be better than Transformers? Let's find out. Released on August 8th, 2014, the movie is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's just get this over with already. Darkness has settled over New York City as Shredder and his evil Foot Clan have an iron grip on everything from the police to the politicians. The future is grim until 4 unlikely outcast brothers rise from the sewers and discover their destiny as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Turtles must work out with fearless reporter April O'Neil and her cameraman Vern Fenwick to save the city and unravel Shredder's diabolical plan. So, my thoughts? Well, I'm mixed about it. Yes, it's a bit better than Transformers, but there are still a lot of flaws in it. Let's move on to Mustang notes and I'll explain why. In late May 2010, it was announced that, Paramount and Nickelodeon brought Michael Bay and his Platinum Doom partners Bradley Fuller and Andrew Form on to produce the next film that would reboot the film series. Great. Another Turtle movie to come out next year. Just terrific. For the script, the studio originally hired Matt Holloway and Art Markham to write this film for close to $1 million. According to co-creator Kevin Eastman, the John Fusco version was a little too edgy for what Paramount wanted. A year later, the studio turned to writers John Applebaum and Andrei Nemec to rewrite the script. In response to the announcement, actor Robbie Rist, who voiced Michelangelo in the first 3 films, wrote to Bay, accusing him of sodomizing the franchise. Rist later remarked that he would have been out of line since Bay makes more money than he does. And he shouldn't even think about money, though. In response to the feedback, Bay issued a statement asking fans to calm down since the script had not been revealed. His team was working closely with the creators and would include all the elements that made them fans to begin with. Both Brian Antocci, who voiced Leonardo in the first 3 films, and Judith Hoag, who played April O'Neil in the first film, have voiced their support towards the creative change. Peter Laird expressed his thoughts on the charge, asking fans to take Bay's advice and wait until more of Bay's plans is made available. Laird also stated that he felt the ill-conceived plan could be a genius notion, as it would allow fans to have a multitude of bipedal anthropomorphic turtles that they have asked for. He would point out that while the concept of a turtle planet backstory made for a great run-of-the-mill science fiction story, it had no real place in the Ninja Turtles universe. Francine's co-creator Kevin Eastman stated that he had been invited behind the scenes of the film and concluded that he was officially on board with the project, and that although he could not say much, he believes it would be awesome. In regards to how the turtle would be rendered, Lesben would not say exactly what visual direction would be taken, but he did state that he would enjoy Weta's digital works in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He also pointed out that the film would not be exclusive about action, but will also focus on brotherhood, friendship, and responsibility. Principal photography commenced on March 22, 2013 in Tupper Lake, New York. Shooting began in April in New York City and at Jones Beach State Park in Long Beach, New York, under the code words Foursquare. On April 20, 2013, the film was renamed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. On April 29, 2013, Michael Bay retracted comments that the Turtles would be aliens. Early set photos were made public showing the Turtles actors in black and gray motion capture suits, complete with life-size turtle shells, with each actor wearing armbands and accents of their corresponding turtle signature color. Brazilian cinematographer Lulu Carvalho, who was invited to work in the film during production of the 2014 remake of RoboCop, described the process of demanding much imagination and participation of the visual effects supervisor. Given that despite their presence on the set, the actors would effectively be replaced by computer-generated creatures. Production for the film wrapped on August 6, 2013. Additional filming occurred in January and April 2014. The visual effects of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were handled by Industrial Light and Magic. Again, just like the same team who worked on Rango, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Strange Magic, and also did the special effects for the recent Transformers film series. To make sure the digital turtles had more neutral facial expressions, the technicians employed a new motion capture system that captured the actors' faces with two high-definition cameras, which captured roughly 1 terabyte of data per day, along with a more realistic design. The effects artists wanted the Ninja Turtles to be charming, intimidating, and individually recognizable. Thus, each had a distinctive body figure resembling their personalities and physicality. According to effects supervisor Pablo Hellman, Donatello is more like a basketball player, Raph is more like a football player, and Mikey is very short and messy and plays soccer. However, I do have a few complaints about the movie. While I do like the idea of motion capture, and it is a pretty cool technique of animation, I just have to say that in my eyes, the models of the turtles look a tad ugly compared to how they look in the cartoon show and the live-action films and the 2007 CGI film. There's also pop culture references, like, for example, the Turtles mention Batman, and they do a bad E.T. reference. And there's also a fart joke, and also sometimes the subtitle translation are a bit too small to read. A few characters a bit douchebag, and plus the story is a tad predictable and cliched. But on the other hand, I have the positive things I have to say is that the modern day is alright because we don't know exactly what time period the comics or the show takes place in. Kind of like with Carrie last time. Plus the action and fight scenes are pretty badass in this movie. And a few jokes are funny, though a few are a bit creepy and bad. Now to move on to the cast, as if it'll improve my opinion. Kinda. Leonardo, the leader of the Turtles, is voiced by Johnny Knoxville. This guy is my favorite out of the Turtles because of his leadership skills and the fact that he wields two swords. Donatello is voiced by Jeremy Howard, who I know as Cindy Lou's brother Drew Lou from The Grinch, and a hitchhiking ghost from the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy. Donnie is a great character too. Not only is he a skilled fighter, but he's a cool inventor. But there's one thing about him that kind of bothers me. Why does he have huge goggles on him throughout this film? Michelangelo, the comic relief of the Turtles, is voiced by Noel Fisher. Mikey is my second favorite because he can be a bit funny, sure, and he's like one guy who you like to go partying with. But, Mikey, I like you, but lay off the flirting jokes, okay? Next we come to Raphael, who is voiced by Alan Ritchson. Now, we all know what Raph is like. He's cool, and he's like one of the strongest members of the Turtles, but sometimes he's a bit of a stubborn jerk some of the times. And like Donnie, he keeps something on his head too, only for Raph, he keeps sunglasses on him instead of goggles. The Turtles' father and teacher, Master Splinter, is voiced by Tony Shalhoub, whom I remember as Alexander Minion from the Spy Kids films, and Luigi from Cars. He gives an interesting backstory of his days as an ordinary lab rat before he and the Turtles were mutated. More on that later, though. Next we come to the Turtles' friend April O'Neil, played by, well, Megan Fox. Okay, let me be frank here. I have nothing against Megan Fox, even though she was not that great in the second Transformers movie, and there was one time when she was a real monster in Jennifer's Body. I have some good things and bad things to say about her role as April here. The good things about her is, like in the show, she makes a very great supporting character to me. Plus, Splinter did say that she rescued him and the Turtles when the lab caught fire several years prior. But the one complaint I have with her is, well, she doesn't really match April from the show. April looked like this. You got it? Good. April's friend Vern Fenwick is played by Will Arnett, who I know as, well, the missing link from Monsters vs. Aliens and Surly from Nut Job. Now, this guy does a decent supporting role for this film, kind of. But I don't have that much to say about Vern, though. Next we come to Eric Sachs, who is played by William Finchner. This guy was a lab assistant for Dr. O'Neill, April's father, but in reality this guy is working for the Foot Clan to poison New York City and make an antidote just to make him look good. And what's more, just to make him rich. Now that, in my opinion, is the most cliched and most ridiculous plan I ever heard. Next we come to the main villain, the Shredder, the leader of the Foot, played by Tohru Masamune. And good God, does this guy know how to make this guy intimidating and a total badass. Heck, his armor is just so scary. I mean, just look at it. It's all packed with knives and swords. Yikes! And lastly, we have the Shredder's number 2, Karai, played by Mine Noji. And now, move on to my final words of this movie. Overall, this adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles isn't really a great movie, but it's not terrible either. Like I said, it is better than base Transformers movies. I mean, the action and fight scenes are decent, and the backstory that Splinter tells is interesting. Megan Fox does a decent performance as April, but still does not match her from the show. The Turtles are great characters, but their motion capture models don't look too good, and Eric Sack's evil plan is completely stupid. So I'd have to give this movie a rating of 59% out of 100. Well, that's all for now, and be sure to join me for part 2, because for that one, I'm going to take you down into a certain not-so-decent sci-fi film. Mustang Power.
Raphael is cool, but rude. Give me a break. Michelangelo is a party dude.